Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are now joining the Positive Deposit Podcast, where we are transforming minds to change lives. I am your host, Presley Nelson Jr., two-time survivor and proud president of Positive Deposits. And we have a very special guest, especially special guest to me because she's actually my brother. Now, I know y'all are probably listening and thinking like, or watching like, how is that his brother? However, we are part of a special Iota frat chapter of Delta Sigma Pi. I've known this guest for a while, and she's such a beautiful spirit, a beautiful warrior, and a conqueror. So without further ado, we have Tori McGee on the show. So Tori, just give a brief, just introduce yourself. We're not gonna give them everything yet, but I'm just gonna give the floor is yours, and I just want you to just tell people where you're from, and then we'll jump right into it.
Perfect. Hi, thank you, Presley, for having me. And hello to the Positive Deposits family. My name is Tori McGee. I reside currently in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been in Atlanta for about a year. And prior to that, I was in Jersey City, New Jersey for about 12, 13 years. So I am 35 years old. I have a 10-month-old son named Brixton. And so happy to be here with you guys today.
Absolutely. And you've already you're already a part of the Howard Heroes family. So, Positive Deposits. So let's jump right into it. Survivor to a survivor. And we got definitely something in common. So talk to us, stage 4 lymphoma.
Yeah.
Where were you at? What was going on? When did you find out?
Yeah, so similar to Presley, I'm a 2 times Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer survivor. It's been a journey, y'all. So I'll give you guys a little bit of background. I was first diagnosed in 2019. I had just celebrated my 32nd birthday, and I had developed this really pesky cough. Cough wouldn't go away, just a really dry cough. And so we'll say this is June, right? And I didn't feel, I just was like, what's going on?
Right.
Because I'm not generally don't get sick that often. But then over the course of like a couple weeks after that, people were stopping me at work in the hallway saying, man, you look good. You lost so much weight. You've been losing weight, you've been working out, mind you. I hadn't been in the gym, had been working out. And I would go, oh, thank you. I didn't really notice. Stepped on the scale, I had lost 30 pounds.
30 pounds?
From the last time that I stepped on the scale to that point. And I was in an environment that was very, just a high-paced environment from a work perspective, and go, doing a lot of travel. And I just chucked it. Yeah, I was on the move. I just chucked it up to just being busy and just maybe stress. Yep. But 30 pounds did make me pause because, I'm sitting down, but I'm generally I'm 5'10", and I'm kind of hover around 190, right? Yeah. At this time, I was like in the 160s range, right? And so for me, that's a lot. And so, I had people stop and telling me that I was losing weight. And then also I had really itchy skin. I was like itching all over. And I kept telling my sister, oh man, like, I think I have eczema. Like my skin was dry. I was like, I didn't put all the pieces together, but there were a lot of things going on. And insomnia was the other thing. I just wasn't sleeping well at night. Insomnia.
Okay, couldn't sleep.
I wasn't sleeping well at night. I'd go to bed, I'd wake up, and I'd wake up in the middle of the night. That's the first thing. But when I did wake up, I'd be exhausted. So sometimes I'd wake up at 8 o'clock or 6:30 to get ready for work, and I would get back in the bed and like lay down another 30 minutes. I just felt beat. I felt very, very tired. So by the time I got to the doctor, and this is July, right? So I would say a couple weeks went by. And I did go to like a clinic. Of course, they're thinking it's just a cough. Another couple of weeks go by, and I actually go to my general physician. They do a X-ray of my chest, and they see a tumor. A mass, right? And they call me back right away, and they say, hey, there's a mass. We got to get you in for a biopsy.
What was going through your mind when they told you that, as far as there's a mass in your body?
it wasn't even on the radar for something that could ever happen to me.
Yeah.
I didn't even know what to think. At this point, I remember calling my mom and say, oh, the doctor just called me. They told me that there's a mass from the x-ray. Still not putting anything
It's
together.
not even on your radar.
It's not even on my radar. For me, that's not even, it's not an option, right? The C word hadn't even been like, no one had even said cancer at this point.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh man, that's weird. Like, I'm thinking maybe it's something that's benign. I don't know, right? And so fast forward, right? We go through biopsy, results come back, and the doctor tells me that, hey, this is Hodgkin's lymphoma. Now, in Hodgkin's, hearing that information, I'm freaking out. Yeah. Because I don't know what it is. It sounds super scary. It's cancer. Yeah. It's all the things, right? My world is turned upside down. And I'm like, in the moment, I feel scared, paralyzed, a little bit, the shame comes a little bit later, embarrassment comes a little bit later, because you're just like, why me?
You just said embarrassment. So what were you, how were you feeling embarrassed,
Was it something that I did that could have brought me to this place, right? Like, oh, you're such an idiot. Like, you didn't, maybe it's more shame or whatever, but like, what did you do? You're not taking care of your body.
Right.
Like, no one else your age is going through this in your circle, right? That why weren't you taking better care of yourself? So, just kind of like the shame and embarrassment of it.
Yeah.
And I just was really, really afraid. Yeah. And so then I talked to the doctors, and I won't go into all the details, but there were about, I think I went through 3 doctors before I landed on the one that treated me. But the one thing that helped to reassure me was that, at least up front, which although it was still scary, was the fact that Hodgkin's lymphoma, without getting too technical, is a blood cancer. It begins in your lymphatic system, in your lymph nodes, right? And your lymphatic system is a part of your immune system, which helps you to fight off diseases and germs, etc. They don't really know what causes it. It generally...
I'm gonna just stop right there. Don't you hate that part of it? You don't know how it comes about. They don't know how. It's like how you can't even prevent it. You can't prevent it. You don't know.
You don't know.
That's what it just blew my mind. It was like, so how did I get this? Not sure. Maybe their environment, maybe.
Yeah, and the environment killed me, right? Like, I'm like, I gotta get out of here. Where am I living?
Right, exactly.
And so the one thing that they told me was that this is the most, I guess out of all the cancers, it's the best cancer to have.
Yeah,
weird thing. It's like a weird. It was oddly reassuring, but also like, you just feel bad for like everybody going through any type of cancer.
Exactly.
So, but they said that it's like, very treatable, very, you can live a full life, because you also start to think, oh my God, am I going to die? Right. You can live a full life, and you can be cured of this cancer.
Absolutely.
And that is what helped to reassure me that, like, okay, I have a fighting chance. I'm going to be okay. Like, it's going to be fine. And so that's kind of how I started to process internally. It was like, it's going to be okay. Like, because sometimes you only know what you see from, if you haven't been through it directly, if you haven't had someone in your immediate circle go through it, you only know what you know from TV.
Yeah. TV, movies. Exactly. It's so funny you say that, because when I first got diagnosed and the doctor said you have a mass, because I was watching Grey's Anatomy, and I was like, if they say mass, it's cancer. I'm sorry. Done.
You were right. Right.
Already. So it's and it was shocking. So I resonate with you when it's like, why me? What did I do wrong? And especially because the diagnosis that you had was similar to my second time, where I thought I was actually working out and I was, getting back in the midst of things, but I lost 40 pounds, man. 40 pounds.
Gradually, right?
Yeah. And that cough that you were talking about was like really weird. Um, but yeah, so when you found this out, were you by yourself? Were you with your family?
I was with my twin sister. So I have a twin sister, Tara. We're like thick as thieves.
Yeah.
We were roommates up until a year ago,
Yeah.
glued at
Yeah.
the hip. So I found out, I think I might have been like so I remember when I was actually on the phone. We were living together, but I was on the phone with my mom. So
Yeah.
when I found out about the mass, and then, because, she's lived a longer life. So anytime you hear mass,
Yeah.
I think she actually told me that she like was very ill, like throughout the night. She told me like, later, once I told her that and I'm still processing and thinking, okay, everything's fine, but she was like ill.
Wow.
My sister did the best that she could do in terms of supporting me because we're so close. She
Right.
feels everything that I'm going through.
That's
And so,
crazy, especially as a twin, to be able to feel this pain but not understand it. And you guys were always connected. So for her to feel that, that's wow.
heavy. It
Wow.
was very heavy for
Wow.
her. It really was. And so just you feel bad. I'm sure you went through this too. You feel bad for your family.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to figure out the best way to like help you and support you. But in those moments, I also have an older sister, Jade. So there's three of us, me, my twin, and my older sister, Jade.
Yeah.
And I informed her as well. And and my father. And so our immediate family of five, we're a very tight knit group, a very tight family. And so we love each other so much that, that if one of us is hurting, we're all hurting.
Yeah.
And so I think it's the balancing act for your family and your loved ones and caretakers. It's like, how do they support you in your time of need?
How did you want to be supported? Because I think that a lot of times family, they want to support us how they want to support us.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not what we need. So what was your maybe PSA to your family as far as, coping and interacting with you and supporting you during this time?
Yeah. You know what? I don't even think I have a PSA to them. I am one of those people who try to do it all myself.
Yeah.
And I've always taken on the burden of just like getting it done. And I don't need help and I can like do this. So it was actually more of a PSA from my family to me to say, you have to communicate your needs. You have to like sit down. You have to let other people help you. You have to really, this is going to be life-changing for you and for our family. But in this moment, you have to take this time to really heal and not run yourself into the ground. So that actually was more of a PSA from them to me, and to really take it easy and be gentle and kind to myself in that moment.
Yeah. Wow. That's powerful. Now, did you receive that well, or you sat with it?
It was like I received it, but I was still like, well, I don't want to be a burden. I never feel like I want to be a burden to like I never want to be a burden to someone else. Even now I struggle with that.
Yeah.
Right. And so because my sisters know me so well, they could FaceTime me or call me, or they could look at me and just know, oh, she needs help. Absolutely. Oh, she's fatigued. Oh, she's, I may not explicitly overtly say it, but they know me well where it's like, okay, no, you got to sit down. Because I'm in the kitchen cooking and I'm doing this.
You're staying busy.
And I'm trying to stay busy, but they're like, you need to relax. It's okay. Right. You have people here, you have a tribe. And I will say that you have your biological family, but I also have been at my company at that point in time, Unilever, for 12 years, I think, when I was diagnosed. I started straight out of undergrad. Maybe it was, 10, 11 years. And the love from my work family.
It's so important.
It's so important. And the reassurance that you do what you got to do for your health. You'll have a job when you come back.
That was that statement right there was the reason why I stayed at Wells Fargo so long.
What?
They literally came to the hospital. They found, I didn't tell them what hospital, but they somehow found out and came to the hospital and my mom was there, and my mom was like, wow, the district manager and the regional came and said, hey, Presley, he's a good guy. Don't worry about the job, get better. We support anything. And so when you say that, like, that means so much, because we don't never know, right, how our job views us. We're just another person working on the assembly line of things to do. But to have that reassurance is so powerful, and it's
Oh my
encouraging.
God. It
It
really
creates that
is.
loyalty to the company. It's like they were in my corner when I was going through something that could be devastating. So
100%. I mean, they sent gift cards, they sent us food.
mm,
They were just like, we got you. Some people came over to the condo in Jersey City and hung out
yeah,
and came to visit me during treatment. And you remember that.
yeah, you do.
And at the end of the day, we're human,
Yeah,
and you see these people 8 to 10 hours a day. Sometimes you see them more, your kids, your
right.
significant other, your
Yeah.
sibling, your parents, and you grow a different type of relationship. So I am very appreciative to my colleagues and the company for really supporting me in that moment.
Gotcha. No, definitely. I totally agree. What was treatment like? Did you have
Yeah.
to get chemo? Did you do
Hmm.
radiation? What was that? What was that treatment for you? And what were some of like the side effects of the treatment?
Yeah, I did. So on my first diagnosis, I did a regimen called ABVD
Yep.
for four
Yep.
different drugs, and it was about. I started in August of 2019 and wrapped in towards the end of January 2020.
Yeah.
And the side effects were um, headaches, nausea, some vomiting, fatigue.
Wow.
Um, yeah, uh, I would say, the change of taste. Now everybody from COVID, remember COVID came, everyone was like, I can't taste my food, right? That happens during
Oh,
chemotherapy.
absolutely. Absolutely. You like
I was
all these symptoms now. You're like,
I'm
oh,
like, been there, done that,
did that
please. Couldn't
already.
smell, can't smell your food.
Yeah, yeah,
Hair loss. I didn't lose my hair completely. I shaved it off, cut it low, not this low, obviously, but I had maybe a couple
yeah,
inches before treatment started, and then it started to thin out, but it didn't come out completely. But I did a close shave anyway because it was really thinning
yeah.
and a little bit spotty. Of course, you have hair loss. Um, I would say those were the most prominent. Your fingernails will turn black and
Yeah,
brittle.
yeah, yeah.
Um, the
The
usual
yeah,
hot
exactly.
flashes, hot flashes for women. Yeah,
Right, right, right. So you went through your treatment, you completed it, and then you're scot free. You're feeling good. So let's talk
yeah.
about when it came knocking on the door again. You
Oh
know,
my God.
well, now were you pregnant at that time when this
I,
happened, or
there's a lot to unpack there because I just found out I was pregnant when I heard that there could be a possibility. I was going in for a routine scan. So
okay?
that once you're done with treatment, as you know, you get a scan like 6 months after treatment,
Yep,
like a year, you get regular scans. So I believe this might have been the annual scan
yep.
and or coming up on the annual scan. I finished in January, and I think this might have been like October, November. And they were like, let's just go ahead and see what's going on. And there were indications that based on the scan, the PET,
Yeah.
CT, et cetera, there was some activity. They
Okay.
didn't right away say that it was a relapse. They weren't really sure. They were
Right.
thinking, okay, well, you're so soon out of treatment. We think that it could just be inflammation in the body. Your
Yeah,
body's still sort of reactive from the chemotherapy. I had
absolutely.
taken my case to the tumor board. I had all these opinions, right? So I actually continued my pregnancy because it's really scary conversations about,
Absolutely.
if this is a relapse, you might have to terminate the pregnancy. Like there were really
Wow.
crazy conversations happening. And so, I continued on with my pregnancy. I felt fine. And that's what they said. They said, "Oh, we'll just monitor you. We're not too
Yeah.
concerned. We'll monitor
Yeah.
your symptoms." So I felt great. Like my whole pregnancy, I delivered a healthy baby boy in July last year.
Amazing.
And I would say about 10 weeks postpartum,
Okay.
I felt a lymph node in my right side of my neck.
Okay.
that was like bulging, like out of my neck.
Mm,
And I knew immediately, I was like, this isn't right.
yeah.
I felt fine otherwise, a little tired, but I just chalked it up to I have a newborn.
Right.
And so then I went and got scans here in Atlanta. At this point, I had already relocated from New Jersey to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Um, got a new team of doctors down here, and they said, okay, well, you go through the biopsy,
Yeah.
and they confirmed it was relapsed
Okay.
Hodgkin's lymphoma, and that the course of action now to make sure this thing is wiped out
Yeah.
would be to undergo an autologous stem cell transplant.
So what is that? What is that for the folks that are listening? What is that? You said
Yeah.
ontologist?
Autologous, as the prefix there, autologous. So they take your own stem cells versus like a donor stem cell. So they extract your stem cells, and they pretty much. So let me explain it to you.
Yeah, break it down. Break it down.
So the process is that you get a regimen of chemo, then you get the stem cell transplant. You're admitted to the hospital, you get the stem cell transplant, and then you continue on this maintenance chemotherapy for about a year after your stem cell transplant.
Wow.
So the way that the stem cell transplant, so for a couple months I had chemotherapy, 2 different drugs leading up to the stem cell transplant. Then they extracted my stem cells, and they kind of hook you up. I think did they use my port? I think they might have used my port. And they take out your stem cells, they whip it around in this machine, and they store it. And then about a week later, or a week or 2 later, you're admitted to the hospital. And in the hospital, they hit you with what they consider like high dose chemo. I mean, they're hitting you with chemo, you're getting chemo every day.
Sometimes
for 6 days straight. And sometimes you're getting like 2 and 3 different types of medication in a day. And so you're admitted because at that point your white cells and your red cell blood count, but you're pretty much being zapped. They're rebooting your immune system.
Wow.
And that's what they do. They take out the goods. They pretty much take out your stem cells. They pretty much wipe out everything, good and bad cells.
Yeah.
And then you're monitored so that your white cells and your red cell count start to rise and increase. And then they pretty much put the stem cells back in to your body. And then the stem cells will then regenerate, like kind of form into new cells. So they're taking out the stem cells so that they can kind of re-kickstart your immune system with the new fresh cells in your body.
Now, during this 6-day process, it's obviously it's a little bit different because the first time, obviously, the chemo spread out, right? Now to get it back to back to back, were some of the side effects the same, or was it rough on your body?
You know what? Because you're getting it back to back, the first is so interesting because the first couple of days I was just like, oh wow, like by day 3 I'm like, okay, is this how I'm gonna feel? I feel pretty good, like I'm rocking and rolling. And then by like day 7, so they called, so 6 days of chemo, day 0 is your transplant day. So on the 7th day they put the stem cells back into you.
Got it.
But by like day 8, 9, 10, you feel it because it's, to your point, it's spread out prior. It's like gradual. The side effects are kind of come in each week, but they're gradual. This kind of hits you all at once because your cells are tanking, your cell count are taking, and so you've got like diarrhea, headaches, can't sleep. The mouth sores were really, really bad, and you can't really eat because you have the mouth sores, right? And then you end up, having to drink a lot of, like I drank a lot of smoothies. I did what I could, though, a couple days where you just literally can't put anything in your mouth because you can hardly keep your mouth open. There's just, the hair starts to fall out. It's a little bit delay on the hair just because, that just takes more time. Hair starts to come out, I would say maybe maybe 3 weeks into the process, 2.5 to 3 weeks in from day one. But I would say those are the biggies. And so as you start to recover, you start to feel better because your
Yeah.
counts are rising.
Yeah.
And so I was discharged, as I was in the hospital for about just shy of 3 weeks, because they don't let you go until your levels are at a point where they know you can fight off
Yeah.
germs,
Yeah.
and COVID right now is crazy.
Wow.
And
So you were going through this during like COVID.
yeah, I was admitted March 18th actually is when I was admitted, and I was discharged April 5th. So
Wow.
I've been home about a little over 2 months.
Now, how is that a shocker where you're dealing with the ways of the world, the COVID and how scary it is? You know, you had your son, right?
Yeah.
And now you have to deal with this transplant and that whole piece of it. Where was your mental, like, how was your mental health during this time? You know,
Yeah.
where were you at?
It, I thought going into the transplant that I was okay. And
Okay.
then when I was in the hospital, I like verbally expressed to my mom, like, and my dad, I'm like, I don't think I'm okay. I'm just like not mentally, I wasn't mentally prepared for the physical toll
Yeah.
of the transplant. You
Yeah.
can like read the brochures
Of
and talk
course.
to other people,
People.
but
Yeah.
when you're in it, I just didn't feel ready,
Yeah.
right? And I was clinging a lot to my faith
Yep.
and still clinging a lot to my faith.
Absolutely.
Saying prayers and just trying to stay positive and have
Yeah.
those kind of like daily affirmations to myself. But I would say I would, you know, this you the part about COVID is interesting because even coming out of the hospital, you're just like you have a heightened level of paranoia
Yeah.
almost,
Yeah.
because you're like, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, so you're just like, okay, Atlanta wasn't wearing masks before during the pandemic peak, so they're definitely not wearing masks now. And so even now
Right.
I'm walking around and sometimes I'm the only one with a mask on in the
Right.
room.
Right. Right.
And it's just an added layer of just protection. My son, the other part that's interesting is that because the transplant is so extensive, um, and kind of wipes you, kind of zaps out your old immune system, my son is more vaccinated than I am. So I have to
Wow.
get revaccinated with all my childhood vaccines. Yeah,
So you a
yeah.
baby all over again.
I'm a baby baby. They call it in the
Wow.
hospital, they call it your birthday. Like day zero, transplant day is like your birthday.
So
So
you got
they
two
kind of,
birthdays now.
so they come and say happy birthday.
Wow.
So
Interesting.
it's scary. So I don't even have like the hepatitis, like MMR. Like I have to get all of that stuff over.
Wow.
Like, so I literally have to be careful even about like
Yeah.
traveling. And for me, it's been harder just because I'm a social, like I like to travel and I like to be
Yeah.
social and I like to, go hang out and be mixy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had to slow down. I've had to slow down a lot, which has been hard for
Yeah.
me. But just kind of in the back of my mind, just trying to be safe for myself and my family.
Absolutely. Man, that's I didn't know. I remember when you had first reached out, or maybe I reached out, or you first reached out to me, and I was just like, "You're gonna be fine. Yeah. You're gonna be all
Yeah.
right. You're gonna be all
Yeah.
right. You're gonna be all right." And you've always been strong before this. You've always been strong,
Yeah.
bubbly,
Yeah.
social, and so I already knew you. God already had you covered. So it's amazing to kind of hear this that you are reborn again, right?
I'm reborn literally,
You're
physically,
reborn again.
spiritually.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to tap into some more joyful and lightful. How's motherhood? How is being a mother despite all this, God allowed your process. Like it was after then they said, this came back, but to be able to bring life to a beautiful, handsome young man, how are you enjoying motherhood and navigating through that during all of this?
I'm enjoying it so much. He's the most beautiful blessing. You don't even like, he's so I will say this to say for the women who are watching, or
Yeah.
the mothers, the people who aspire to be mothers, is that, you know, if so this is actually, I want to share it with your audience because this is important,
Absolutely.
is that when you go through, I've had a lot of conversations about infertility
Yeah.
as a result of treatment.
Yeah.
And when I was diagnosed the first go round, it was like freeze your eggs, freeze your eggs. I couldn't freeze my eggs because I had complications. The tumor was way too big, and the
Right.
anesthesiologist didn't feel comfortable with me
Absolutely.
going under. They had to start treatment right away.
Yeah.
So I went through treatment, and I conceived. I was able to conceive naturally.
Yeah.
After my first battle, I don't even want to say battle, but after my first battle with cancer,
The first hurdle.
and
The first
hurdle. Thank you, first hurdle. And I was just so happy to just be able to bring that life into the world. And I mentioned earlier there was a scare. Okay, you might have to terminate your pregnancy because the second line of um, uh, treatment for a relapse Hodgkin's doesn't support you being pregnant. Like,
Right.
not going to work, right? And so overcoming that obstacle and just saying, I'm listening to my body, I feel okay, like I'm gonna do it, right? You have to make the decision that is best for you. And now, having come out of the transplant, there's a higher risk, and having been through treatment prior, higher risk of infertility now because of the harshness of the chemo.
Yeah.
So what I would say is, if there's anyone watching this or listening to this and you want to be a parent, and I'm speaking to the women because I don't know the perspective from a male perspective, but I would urge you to freeze your eggs, and do a couple cycles if you can. Just get as many eggs tucked away as you can, just because you never know. And like me, I conceived naturally, and I have a beautiful baby boy, and I'm just so happy to be a mother and just watch him grow and all the special moments. But sometimes I think like that's not everyone's story,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
if you're able to take advantage of some of those benefits and really able to make that decision between yourself, your partner, your family, then do it, because he's the greatest joy of my life. And if you have dreams and aspirations of becoming a mother, I really highly recommend that you do what you need to do to protect your fertility.
Yeah. No. Well, man, thank you for sharing that, because me too. I didn't freeze my sperm. Yeah, I didn't freeze
Okay.
my sperm. So,
Yeah.
and maybe I was looking at the wrong program. So I would definitely encourage those, look into programs. There's programs that it's
Right.
very affordable. Some of you Google so many things, right? And you may Google the wrong site, but I learned afterwards there were freezers that were like maybe like $100 a month, or and things of that nature. So it all depends. And then look into your insurance too. That's very important to see what your insurance covers, because insurance helps a lot, and we haven't even gone down that road as far as how having good insurance is. But I was able to conceive, and I didn't think I would, because of so much chemo that I had. I didn't, so, but I would definitely, fellas, if freeze your sperm,
Freeze it.
freeze it, do a GoFundMe, figure it out.
figure, figure it out. And you bring up a good point. I was able to use my Progeny, which is an amazing company that they focus on fertility benefits. And I was able to leverage them through my company. So if you have great insurance, take advantage of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I'm going to ask you a couple more questions.
Yeah.
Now that you faced death not only once but twice, how is your outlook on mortality?
Oh, that's a good question. I, I try to look at every day as a gift.
Yeah.
I don't know if I had that perspective before,
Okay.
right? It's like, and I'm more sensitive about my time and
Yep.
how I spend my time and where I place my energy.
Mm.
And that's an important part of me, just like trying to preserve. It's a part of me just trying to preserve my peace,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I think before I might have been like, oh, a little more scared, but I'm like, now I could do anything. And I really feel deep down in my soul that I am going to live a prosperous,
Absolutely.
long,
Absolutely.
fruitful life,
Absolutely.
but I want to do it in a way that's more meaningful,
Yeah.
right? Because I think and it's just so hard. It's so much to unpack on. I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but I think a lot of times I felt like as I was going through life, checking the box,
Okay.
like go to school, get a good job,
Yep.
you know, have a family,
Yeah.
and I always felt like I found moments to like to enjoy. You go
Yeah.
on vacations
Absolutely.
with the girls every now and then,
Right.
but
Right.
now I want to put joy at the forefront of my life,
Yeah.
whether that be spending time with my son, whether
Yeah.
that be hanging out with my girlfriends, whether that's
Right.
hanging out, spending quality time with my sisters.
Yeah.
And I ran the wheel and slash running the corporate America wheel,
Yeah.
right? Of just work, work, work. And now I have a perspective where I don't really want to like work myself into the ground.
Yeah.
I want to do things that bring me joy.
And that's beautiful, man, because when you go through these hurdles or these obstacles in life, that hits you mysteriously or you blindside you, right? It's like when you are driving, you have those blind spots. Sometimes if you don't look, you never know, right? But when it hits you, you're like, oh. And joy is definitely a key word, but also too, like you value your time, you value your peace. you know um I say, we both have survived and looked death in the face twice. And even for me now, like, i I enjoy life more. I don't work. I try not to work so hard because you get into that wheel and you're working, and you never realize, like, I didn't take any vacation. I have, and you feel like, oh, I'm gonna lose my job, or I'm gonna. No, you have to live every moment and make every moment count, because if you don't, you never know. Denzel Washington's he did an interview and he said, like, if you pass tomorrow and your ghost could look over your life, would you be happy of what you've accomplished, experienced, if tomorrow was your last day?
Whew.
And so when he said that, that gave me goosebumps, because it's like there's so many things that I haven't done, or there's so many things that I haven't experienced, and you have to seize the moment. Every moment counts. We don't got time for the small dumb arguments and
We
things of that
don't. We
you know
don't.
and I think that as survivors, as we walk into survivorship, we end up not being less patient, but we don't got time for the bullshit. I mean,
Period.
I'm just saying, like, and at the same time, though, our outlook on life is just different, and we're special in that space, and you're special, and so I'm so glad to be able to experience this in this moment, because, like, we're all like superheroes, right? You know, we're
Oh,
all we're
we
we're
are.
all superheroes, and we don't have a talent. We just have a force field that we're now unstoppable. You
Oh
know,
my God, I love
we're
that. I
so
love
unstoppable.
that. I'm
Yeah.
like, where's my cape? I need my
Exactly.
cape.
It's already there. It's like Doctor Strange. He got the thing, and he got the cape could do a lot of things. And so what are you doing now, Tori? What are you doing now? Where are you working? Are you doing anything in the community? Like, what's going on?
So I am so I haven't gone back to work. I'm still on leave. Like I said, I was discharged about 2 months ago. So I'll be transitioning back into corporate America and
Congratulations.
in a couple months. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So looking forward to that and hoping that, I can keep up.
Yeah, yeah,
And I will keep you all posted because I really uh, I've reached out recently to Emory, so that's where I was treated. I
yeah.
reached out to Emory University Winship Cancer Institute down in Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm hoping to do some things to just give back and
Absolutely.
partner. So I'll keep you guys updated.
Absolutely. We would love, anything that you are doing, we would love to just, shower that to the world. Because, this podcast, the organization stemmed from just, being able to see this day, right? And
Yeah.
and we need advocates just like you to be out there in the forefront,
Yeah.
and it
And
helps.
if anybody's out there and you're thinking, hey, like I would love to connect with you. I want to talk to you about your experience. I wasn't that person. Like I wish I was that person that like reached out more and
Yeah,
like heard because I didn't want to be clouded, but
yeah, yeah,
but now I'm like, oh man, I should actually talk to some people.
yeah.
Please reach out to me and I will be more than happy to just connect and have a conversation with you.
All right. Well, we got a support group that's starting up soon. So,
Count
I'm gonna definitely tap on your shoulder. So, well, before we go,
Yeah.
the infamous positive deposit. So I need 3 positive deposits from Tori McGee, on whether it's for the mothers that have been survivors or going through it, for fellow survivors that are afraid of the workforce. But what are 3 positive deposits that you want to share with the audience and the people listening in?
Okay, so I jotted mine down because I didn't want to
Ain't
get
nothing
them
wrong with
wrong.
that.
So the first thing I'll just say is it's okay to feel all the feels, is what I
Mm,
wrote down.
mm,
Let yourself feel because sometimes you're gonna want to like shoot those feelings away. You're
yeah,
gonna want to pour yourself out, and it's okay, right, to want to be able to like
absolutely.
reset, but let yourself go through the emotions. Let yourself
That's
feel loved by others as well.
that's good. That's good. That's
Yeah. Um, the second one, which I learned more recently during my hospital stay, is advocate for yourself.
mm,
Advocate for yourself because
mm.
no one is going to advocate for you.
No, not at all.
And I remember being in the hospital and I would be in pain, right?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I'm in pain or I'm nauseous or whatever. I have a headache. And I would just be trying to grind through it
Yeah.
and not thinking if I say something, there might be a medication that can help
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
There might be something that the nurse can do to help me feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. That's one example of many. But speak up for yourself,
Yeah.
advocate for yourself, even as you're looking for doctors. That's why I landed on, 3 different doctors. I went through 3 different doctors. I wanted to be paired with the right team for
Yeah.
me and my needs.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then the third one is something that I heard from Steve Harvey, and he's always dropping gems.
Yes.
And Steve Harvey said something, and I wrote it down because it just spoke to me. He said, "Listen, you have a track record of surviving 100% of bad days.
Mm.
Okay, you have a track record. Every bad day that you've had, it's in the rearview mirror. You've survived. You've gotten over the finish line. Hang in there. You're going to get through this. This is only a point in time, and you're going to come out on the other side even better, even brighter, even bolder, even more beautiful.
Wow. I just
Hang in
felt that.
there.
I felt that. Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
That's
hang
good.
in there. And that's how I'm gonna leave you.
Okay. Okay. So if people want to reach out to you, Tori, are you on Instagram? Are you on Facebook? Where can they reach you?
Ooh, not Facebook. No, it's gonna
What is your IG? So
I'm
folks,
on IG. There we go. IG at storytelling, story with an I, STORITELLING.
okay.
And then if you want to shoot me an email, if you're more email
Okay.
type of person, you can reach me at Tori, TORI.McGee, MCGEE @gmail.com.
Well, there you have it. No Facebook, IG, or email. And and for those, we are on all streaming platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Please go to our website for Positive Deposits, www.positivedeposits.org. And without your support, whether you want to volunteer, whether you want to donate, definitely, donations are key. But we welcome all types of support. And as we close out, Tori, thank you once again, because here we are transforming minds to change lives, and you've definitely done that today on the show. So I praise you. I give you your flowers, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Bye, everyone.